How would you like to be a world-class content website investor? Hi, this is Jaryd Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast, and in this episode, I'm speaking with Alex Cooper from WP Eagle. Alex is a WordPress and content website weapon. He's bought and scaled many content websites and is dedicated to helping you do the same. In this podcast episode, Alex and I specifically talk about why it's better to buy a website over starting one from scratch and what that actually means. We also talk about how to choose the right hosting for your website. When you purchase a website, you need to have your website hosted somewhere. So we talk about how to choose the right hosting for you and for your website. We also talk about how to decide if the niche, the website you're looking at buying, is actually a good niche before you go away and invest in that business. We talk about how to create content, how to hire writers, also why not to pay writers by the hour or per word, and how that can be bad as a payment system for creating content, and what you should be doing instead. We also talk about how and why you should use AI to help create your content for you, and so much more. This is such a valuable episode. You're absolutely going to love it. Now, we did have some technical difficulties with this podcast episode, so I'm hoping the audio and the video all comes together nicely. If it doesn't, we'll iron out the kinks and put together the best version for you that we possibly can. So enjoy the episode. Today's episode is brought to us by Niche Website Builders, which is a company a few of my clients are using and have used for content creation and link building services. They do everything from start to finish. So from keyword research all the way to uploading your completed article for you. We've also had Bob members buy ready-made affiliate sites built by Niche Website Builders. So if you're looking to outrank your competitors' content and build better backlinks, Niche Website Builders and I have a special deal for you. Head to nichewebsite.builders/Bob. I'll put a link in the show notes for you, but again, that's www.nichewebsite.builders/Bob. Do you want to start investing in websites but don't want to drop $20,000 on your first investment? Check out Odie's, where you can buy premium age domains to build a website on and add Odie's done for you affiliate site package to help you grow your website and get seen. Instead of buying a crummy website that's been built to sell with no authority, buy a premium age domain with built-in authority, great SEO, and fresh quality content for your website. Head to odys.global to check out their great deals. That's odys.global. Link will be in the description too. Alex, hello and welcome to the Buying Online Businesses podcast.
Hello, welcome. Well, I don't know why I'm saying welcome. Thanks for having me. So I've just been on a live YouTube stream with...
Welcome to everybody else. I said to you before we hit the record buttons, we don't normally get into like the hero's journey story on this podcast, but I think it's going to be helpful for the audience, everybody listening. So I wanted to ask you, why did you, what was your motivation for wanting to get online? Like, what did you do prior to this, and what was your motivation for getting online? And when was that? Like, what year?
Oh God, a long time ago. I've done many businesses. I think I quit my job about 15, 16, maybe longer, 17 years ago, and set up my own business. And that was a Wi-Fi business when Wi-Fi was quite a new thing, and you used to have to, stick a card in your laptop to get Wi-Fi on your laptop, and it didn't work too well. It was kind of slow, but it was obviously going to be the future. So I set up a little business where I was helping people get onto Wi-Fi, installing it, which was fine. But as I say, the technology wasn't that good at the time. So often I'd install stuff and then I'd have clients and customers ringing me saying the Wi-Fi is not working. And yeah, so I was doing a lot of running around, a lot of crawling around in ceilings and all that kind of stuff. And basically, to cut a long story short, I discovered Google AdWords when I had that business in terms of getting Wi-Fi clients. And that blew my mind in terms of how well that worked. So I ended up ditching the Wi-Fi and doing AdWords, becoming an AdWords agency. And we ended up being quite big and being one of the top Google partners. But again, I still had the problem where I'd get clients ringing me, like when I was on holiday and stuff, saying, there's a problem with my campaign. Can you help? And all my website's gone down. And so I wanted to find a business where I didn't have to rely on clients, if that makes sense, because I wanted more of that kind of passive income rather than selling my time. I wanted to make money without having to sell services or products to clients. So at that time, we had a client, actually, we were helping them with their Google AdWords that were a couple of affiliate marketeers. So that blew my mind in terms of what they were doing, how much money they were earning, and the kind of products they were promoting. So I kind of knew that affiliate marketing was what I wanted to do. And I sort of fell into it when I set up my YouTube channel. I also wanted to do YouTube, mainly because that was also fascinating how people were making a living off creating content on YouTube. So I kind of combined the two together, really. And one of my first tutorials was on how to create a website with WordPress, because I'm also a big fan of WordPress. And obviously within that tutorial, I had the opportunity to talk about hosting and domain names and plugins and themes. And with all those things, there's an affiliate program. And yeah, the kind of two married together, and I started earning some hosting commissions. And yeah, the rest is history, really.
Cool. And so what was your main motivation? So I guess your main motivation, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that you wanted to get away from hands-on tasks with the AdWords into more of a passive type income. Yeah.
I wanted to basically clients. It was mainly clients. I found that clients were difficult to manage, and they always added an extra layer of stress because you're always worrying about them, always worrying about if it was their AdWords campaigns or their Wi-Fi, whatever it was that I was working with them on. I was always worried about them. And I say they'd often need me at the most inconvenient times when I was on holiday or when I was just, doing something. And I also, started a family a few years ago, and that took up a lot of time as well. So I wanted to basically free up some time. I definitely went into this business more about time rather than money. I know a lot of people, when they discover affiliate marketing or niche websites or content websites, they're kind of maybe drawn in by the money. There's people with Lamborghinis and private jets and all that kind of stuff, but it was really more about the time. Just be able to earn a reasonable income, but have a lot more time.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's the whole reason I got into this. Is my goal when I first started is I just want to make enough money to cover my expenses, so then I can have time to just go around and travel and surf and be selfish with my time.
Yeah, rather than
at
selling
that
it
stage,
to other
at
people.
that period of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm all about optimizing ourselves for time. So have you ever bought a website business before?
I have, yeah, I have. I first dabbled with buying websites on Flipper, which is probably a place where a lot of people start. It's like, the eBay of websites, isn't it? And I just wanted to pick something up that wasn't doing, huge amounts, just earning a little bit of money, and just to see what I could do with it, because I saw that'd be a quicker way to kind of get involved in terms of having sites. I think I had already created some of my own sites at that point, but I just wanted to buy one, and Flipper fascinated me. And I ended up buying a website that was all around registry cleaners, which are, I later found out, a bit of a scam, actually. They're bits of software that you put on your PC, and, this was back in the day of, Windows 2000 or whatever, when, it would often run slow and everything. So you get this bit of software and it's supposed to clean out your Windows and make it run better. But as I say, it turns out most of these bits of software are a bit of a scam, which, it taught me a few lessons, especially when it came to affiliate marketing, that as an affiliate, there are a lot of products and things that, maybe look tempting in terms of what you want to promote. Maybe they pay a good commission, but you really want to promote stuff and talk about stuff that you're comfortable with, that are actually good, solid products that you're happy to recommend. And I think that's, the real essence of affiliate marketing, isn't it? It's recommending good stuff that you like and that you use. So yeah, I learned a few lessons with that. So I ended up selling it again, actually, on Flipper. So I don't think I made any money, but I don't think I lost any money. I did some work on it and then sold it. And yeah, since then I bought a couple of other sites. Nowadays, because I'm on YouTube, I often get people approaching me saying, "Hi, I've got this site for sale. You're interested?" And yeah, if it's at a reasonable price and it looks like it's got potential, I'll tend to buy them, especially if the person gives me some sob story about, I need the money for my sick mother or something, which happens quite a lot. I'm stuck for them.
Yeah. So other than their reason and helping them out, which is very generous of you, why would you choose to, I'm just curious on this, why would you choose to buy these ones rather than starting them?
Mainly because just of the time. I've got a few new sites on the go, and it seems to take longer now just to get sites ranking and get the traffic going. It's a lot harder than it was, I think, in terms of getting on Google and getting some authority and churning out the content. So And then also, realizing that maybe you're not in the right niche, or, you've chosen the wrong domain name, which is again, stuff that's happened to me. I've got a site at the moment. I did an update video for it today, actually, and it's just not working. It's just like a flat line. I just can't get it moving. So at least if you buy a site, you can see like the history of it, and you can see whether it's moving in the right direction. So yeah, it's basically just to kind of save some time and kind of jumpstart the site.
It's great to hear that from somebody like yourself who has a lot of experience starting sites, getting sites running, and finding product market fit. But that's the reason I got into this as well. Is like I tried to start a travel blog, and then I tried to start some other websites as well, and it was just really hard. And this is still like 7-8 years ago, when it was obviously easier than it is right now.
It still wasn't easy, but it was maybe easier. Yeah.
Yeah, easier, correct. Because you're right about the niche thing. And I think that's the hardest thing is when we're trying to start something from scratch, is finding that product market fit, right? Like sometimes, you got the domain that may not be correct, like the best domain. You may not be in the best niche that is trending, or it takes longer to get product market fit in terms of having enough content to make ad revenue or affiliate revenue. There's a lot of variables when starting, and especially when you're completely green, right?
Yeah. And it's impossible to say. I mean, you can do all the research, and there's loads of tools and stuff to try and help you find the perfect niche, and you can do some competitor research and all that stuff. But it's never the same as actually looking at a site that's been established for a year or two and seeing exactly, is it working, what's working, is there potential in terms of maybe expanding the bits that are working? Because even within a niche, there's going to be certain areas of content that work well and others that don't. And that, the best way to learn what works, what doesn't work, is to actually do it. And by doing it, you're going to be spending a lot of time and a lot of money to find that out.
Talking about the start is like, we don't have much time, and we want more time. And the same with our money. We want to, not that we want to, I mean, personally, a Lamborghini doesn't interest me. But, having some more money to be able to put into more investment.
You don't want to waste money, that's for sure.
Exactly, yeah.
And that can happen with a young site. You can end up spending a lot of money on content and all sorts of things, and not all of it's going to deliver a return, I'm afraid.
Well, I find that the people that have had success, that have a good affiliate site or an advertising site, whatever it is, what type of content site, normally they have started multiple sites. Yeah, they've started more than one. It hasn't just been, oh, cool, I'll start one and it's just gone really well. They've probably started 5 to 10 or even more, right? Before they...
Yeah, they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of investing. You're investing your time and your money in something that's new. They need to spread their risk because they don't know what they invest in.
Yeah, definitely. You have to start multiple sites, I think, and see which ones wins, which is difficult, especially if you're just starting out and you have got limited resources. It's very tricky to do that. And a lot of people, I get questioned all the time from people that watch my stuff on YouTube saying, when should I start a new site, or when should I give up on a site? I'm not sure if it's working. And it's hard to know, especially if you only got 1 or 2 sites. And yeah, it's very difficult to predict.
When you're starting a niche site or a content site, there's some of the things that you do to see if you were going to buy a niche website. Well,
there's a few things. I mean, the main thing is checking what content potential there is. So that's just doing some research on Google, doing some searches. You can use tools like Ahrefs or any of the keyword tools out there. But basically, I'm looking for what other websites are out there, who's coming up in Google for certain searches around the particular topics. Are they big established sites? Are they, affiliate sites? Are they answering the question? That's the key thing, really. Are they answering what people are searching for accurately and in a quality way? If not, then there's potential there. If it's going to be an affiliate site, then I'm looking at the kind of products that we can talk about and recommend. The higher value, the better. Digital products, good as well. You don't want a site that's just maybe talking about books or something like that, because the margins on that are going to be too small to make any money. So yeah, it's checking out the competition and looking just for the potential. Is there content that could be written that hasn't been written yet? Is there content that's working on the site that could be expanded or could maybe taken into different directions? They're the main things. And also, do I like it? Am I interested in it? Is it something that's going to kind of excite me in any way? Otherwise, it's just really dull. That can be a problem. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't write so much content anymore. I use writers, or I use I just use writers and AI tools, but they're generally used by my editor as well. I don't tend to do it myself.
The niche is scalable, and sure that there's room to move and see what other competitors are doing that could inspire us if we're going to purchase the business that we're looking at purchasing. And also give us a bit of, knock us back into realization of like, where is the business at that you're looking at purchasing versus like how far it's going to have to go on a journey to meet that same level that the competitor's at. And is
Yeah.
that actually possible? I think that helps in buying a niche as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. That's key. I mean, the thing is not to worry about the competition. It's just to see, what they're doing that you could maybe do better. Maybe areas within that niche that they've missed or that they haven't serviced particularly well. A lot of people, I think, that when it comes to competition in any business, they think they want to try and come up with an idea or a niche that doesn't have any competition. But generally, if there isn't much competition, it's probably not a very good niche.
Yeah, that's great. It's so true. So I want to talk about the hosting. Say somebody has found this website to buy and they've gone, cool, it's in a good niche, they've done their due diligence, and it looks good. And they're in that process of doing the migration, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like, even for myself, like it's just not something I love doing. But if you're brand new to this, it's a task in itself. So it
Yeah.
does help having somebody help you with that. But when, often somebody's going to have to go, it's like, I'm going to I need to get some hosting to transfer all of this site and the data into. And you talked about, helping people choose hosting. What are some of the things that if somebody's buying a site should be thinking about or asking when they're going to choose what type of hosting they should be using for, say, a blog site or a niche site that they're buying?
So yeah, when it comes to hosting, I think the main thing you want to check is the performance of your hosting company. It's really important that your site loads really quickly and it delivers a good experience, because that affects just you working on the site. I've worked on sites before on slow hosting, and it's yeah frustrating when your site's loading really slowly, and it's frustrating to your visitors, which is not a good thing as well, and it then also affects your search engine rankings. So performance is key. Uptime is also really important, and a level of support. Especially if you're kind of new, you're going to want a company that's there to help you. Where I'm at now, I use a company called Spiderweb, they're a small company here in the UK, but I've got a direct line to Phil, who's the company owner and in charge of all the servers, and he just kind of looks after everything for me. So, if I buy a site,
Amazing.
if I sell a site, he takes care of all the migration process and the transfer. So if you get to that point, I'd highly recommend it, where you just basically have your own server guy to just deal with all that stuff, because it can be nerve-wracking, especially if you're moving sites around.
Yeah, that's right. I think the hosting thing is interesting, where somebody's just bought a website and they're like, okay, I need to get hosting, but I'll just spend all this money on the site. I don't want to spend too much money on hosting.
Yeah.
But if you're buying a content site, it's kind of the opposite. You want a premium host so the site loads fast. I know that I was once in this boat where I was cheap, trying to do things on a budget, trying to be really, really cheap. And when I first started one of my sites, I was on shared hosting as well. And when I decided to change my hosting, because I'm coming into a bit of money here, and I want my site to load faster or be better. I changed host, and it wasn't much money. It was like double the price. Maybe I went from like $20 a month to $40 a month, or 15 to 30. But I went from a 14 or in between 8 to 14 second load time down to like 1 to 2 second load time, which was phenomenal, just by changing the host and nothing else.
Yeah, don't go cheap on the hosting. It's very important. And if you can get a dedicated server or someone that can manage it, then I definitely recommend that you do that. I mean, I used to recommend the shared hosting, and if people are just starting out, they've maybe haven't got hardly any money, then it's perfect and it's fine. Your site isn't getting much traffic anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. But as soon as it starts getting a bit of traffic and you want to start maybe putting some ads on and that kind of thing, then you do need to take hosting very seriously. Yeah, I was just saying that a lot of hosting companies seem to go through cycles. So I've recommended a number of companies in the past that I wouldn't recommend now. It seems that when they're kind of smaller, they offer a much better service, but they tend to then get quite popular because they're offering a good service, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. and then ultimately they often get bought out by a big, large corporation, and that's when things start going wrong. So, sometimes it's worth just keeping an eye on the hosting, and when that renewal comes up, it's maybe worth checking. I know we just talked about migrating and stuff, and moving sites isn't fun, but it can be worth it, because I used to recommend companies like SiteGround. They're not as good as they were. I used to recommend TSO Host, which are a hosting company in this country, which were very, very good, and now they're not. So, yeah, something that you've got to keep on top of, hosting, for sure.
Yeah, thanks. That's a good shout out. So somebody's just got their site hosted and they've bought it, and they're like, all right, cool. Now let's roll up my sleeves and let's start creating content. And they've got no idea how to create content. What are some of the things that you would recommend people to learn when doing some content creation? Is it like learning keyword research? Like, what if someone was to come to you and say, I just bought this blog, it's in WordPress. Where would you guide them, and how would you guide them to start creating solid content for that?
Okay, well, end of the day, with content, all you're really doing is helping people. There's people out there on Google searching for stuff right now, searching for information, and they're putting questions in, and they need answers. So that's what your job is. And obviously you can find out those questions. The best keyword research tool, I still think, is Google. You just go over to Google, start typing things in, and there'll be suggestions that come down. There's the old alphabet method, which is very popular, where, best, deep fat fryer 4, and then you type A, B, C, and you'll see all these suggestions come up, and that's all ideas for content. You go down to the bottom of the Google, there's, people also ask, and they may not necessarily be their own articles. They might all form one article, because they might be subheadings within a particular piece of content. So yeah, it's finding out what people are looking for and the information that they need. It's then looking on Google and other search engines to see how well it's being answered and what the information is like that's already out there. And I think it's just about delivering that information in a really clear, concise way. I think we got to a point where we were getting bogged down with word count, and people were saying, you need to write 2,000 words, you need to write 1,500 words.
Yeah.
I think you need to write as many words as need to be written to actually deliver that information in a clear and concise way. And, using bullet points, using diagrams, maybe video, just not masses and masses of paragraphs. How often do you read an entire article? Unless it's something you're really interested in. Generally, you're kind of scanning through. You just want the information quickly. So if you can deliver that, I think you'll do well. In terms of putting the content together, you can write it yourself. You can outsource it to writers, which again is a bit of a learning process, a bit of trial and error there. You try different guys out, different people out, and see what happens. Or you can try AI tools, which I've been playing around with quite a lot recently. And they're not a replacement for writers, but they are a very useful tool if you suffer, like me, with writer's block. You find it difficult to get started writing. They can help you with that. They can help you get that first paragraph down and kind of help you structure stuff together.
Cool. That's awesome. I totally agree with the word count thing. And yeah. I'm tending to see what Google's doing is trying to give people the answers quickly and in the most short form as possible, which is what snippets are. And so I'm glad that you mentioned, numbers and bullet point lists, so people can get the featured snippet for their. I
think it's really important now. Yeah, I think there's so many articles, and you come across them now. I see them on so many websites. They're just full of fluff, full of waffle.
Yes.
And people are just literally putting words in just to make the word count longer, and that doesn't help anyone. And Google, especially now, is becoming far more sophisticated in terms of how it indexes content and how it serves content, and it knows all this fluff, and it doesn't want it. No one wants it.
Yeah, I just read an article last night because I'm choosing a new pillow, and it was just like the ideal layout. Like I'm sure you're similar to me, that when you go to a website now, that if you're reading something, you kind of like, oh, this is good versus this is bad, helping us to identify what's good content versus bad content. But it's ecoconsciousliving.com. And it's the best natural pillow for sleep. And it's just phenomenally well written. In terms of like some of the other sites that I went to was just like those big walls of text, like you're actually reading a book. If people want to read a book, go away and pick up a book. Like you don't want to read a book on your screen on the internet, right? But just this covered every single topic without it being fluff, like you said. and then move on to the next thing that I needed to think about in a pillow, and then the next thing, and it highlighted all the things I needed to think about, and then offered 2 suggestions, rather than offering 25 suggestions.
Yeah.
Based
Again, well, you're
on
not helping
like
people.
which
If you're
was the
offering
best
25
seller on Amazon.
suggestions, that's what a lot of these shops do. To go to Amazon, type in pillow, there'll be 50 pillows come up, but
Yes.
which one is the best?
Yeah.
I don't know. You basically, people like this one or this one. That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
People struggle with
it-
choice.
it
My
was-
wife is terrible with choice. That's why she can never go to somewhere like Subway. There's just too many questions, too many options.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's decision fatigue. Every human has it,
Yeah.
to a certain extent. And I think you can write a better article, you can write better content if you're focusing on the solution, like what we're saying. It's a different mind frame in how we write that article and how we produce that piece of content. If you're focusing on the solution and giving the best value to the audience or the reader, then you don't need to offer them 25 pillows.
No, you don't.
You
And
can
just need
offer
to be
them
precise. I
those
mean,
2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just answer the question and as well. That's the key thing. If you search for, what's the best pillow for a bad neck or something like that.
Yeah.
The first paragraph or 2 should answer that question. It shouldn't be a load of waffle about, oh, maybe you've got a bad neck because you were lifting some bricks and then, the other day, they have all that fluff trying to build up the picture, whereas it should be, if you've got a bad neck, either this pillow or this pillow, depending on your budget. Yeah, that's it. And
You already
that's
know
why I found
you already know that you got a bad neck because
Yeah.
that's why you're on the page.
Exactly. Often they repeat it and explain why you might have, but you don't need that. That's why we found that actually going straight in with like a product table, maybe this is our best pick at the very top of an article.
Yeah.
People will tend just to click on that. They won't even read the article. They'll just go, oh, okay, that one's the best, the editor's choice or whatever. Click, buy.
Yeah, and I find that if we're gonna go back to hiring, and like you said, it is a process trying to find somebody who's a good writer. If you're going to go through Upwork or whatnot, if you don't have a good content brief or a good structure of how you want to have the writer write the content, and you just go, can you produce an article with this keyword? You're most likely going to get fluffed out content because it's in their best interest. They're getting paid per hour. They want to create something that's a bit bigger, that's got more words. Whereas if you keep it refined and you keep them on task, then you can have a better produced article, right? Would you agree with this?
Yeah, I do agree. And I think, buying content by the word, I think is a false way to buy stuff because some of the best content is not the longest content, is it? I always thought that with, when I used to sell web design services, I've done that before, WordPress sites. A lot of web developers and things would say, okay, I'll charge you by the hour. My rate is $100 an hour, which I always thought was a bit weird because the really good web developers, the really efficient web developers, they would put out a site in a lot quicker time, which would make the client happy and everyone would be happy. But then they'd actually end up charging less than the slow guys that are very inefficient and take ages to put your website together. They end up getting paid more. So I think the whole by the hour or by the word kind of way of selling these kind of services is not the right way. I'd rather just say, I'll pay you this much for an article and it needs to tick these boxes, be this structure and be really good. Yeah. And if it's 500 words, that's fine because, if it's about, how do you boil an egg, but it doesn't need to be that long, does it? It just needs to be good, concise and useful. You don't need to write 2,000 words about that.
Exactly. Well, when you think about the hiring process and how you're going to, or I wouldn't say the hiring process, but the payment process, the way you incentivize their work really matters. If you're incentivizing people to do it per hour or per word, you're basically incentivizing them. If they want to make more money, they need to drag it out and do it as long as possible. Yeah. Versus
which is not what you want
to do it the other way. Yeah, you want to pay per results. And if you which is what you have done, is give me a 500, give me an article. I don't care how many words it is, but you're going to pay per article, per result. And you're basically incentivizing them to do it as quick as possible because the more they can do, the better and the more money they're going to make. That said, you want to have good quality control. So when you are asking for a pay per result, you need a highlight in the job description, this is what the article needs to have in it at least, like a bullet point list or whatever it is, table, all that sort of thing, right? That's probably the best way to structure paying somebody for a piece of content.
Yeah, for sure.
I find.
Yeah, it's definitely, and the
Yeah.
same was, when I was selling websites, it would be, this is how much it is for the website, and there's no hours or anything like that. It's just, this is the project, and this is how
Yeah.
much it'll be.
Yeah. I want this changed to my website and I want it to look like this. I'm paying for it to look like this. How much will it cost me? Not how many hours is it going to take you.
Yeah.
So let's move on to AI. I'm interested to see how you're using the AI. Yeah, tell me more. So you're going to have an article written, or you want an article produced, and someone like me or yourself, we have writer's block. How are you using these AI tools?
Okay, well, I came across, it was called Conversion AI in the beginning. It's now called Jarvis AI, and in the beginning they just had these kind of individual tools. So if you wanted like an intro paragraph for a blog post, it could do that. If you wanted a product description or to write about a product, it could do that as well. So it's pretty cool because you could feed in, features and benefits about a product and in a kind of bullet point form, and it would turn that into a paragraph. But now they offer kind of like a long form edit, so you can create an entire blog post just straight off a kind of blank page. There is a few caveats to it. You do need to kind of guide this technology. It still is a robot. I mean, it's not kind of spinning content or anything like that. I mean, some people think it's like the old days where we had these article spinners where they'd basically take existing content, they'd run them through a thesaurus and just change all the words and make it into a load of gibberish. These technologies, they seem to work different. They've kind of crawled the web. They've learned a lot of information, and they know how to structure sentences and paragraphs, and then they use the information they've learned to create these paragraphs. I've checked all the content that I've created with these tools through all the different plagiarism tools and services, and it's all completely clean. And I've had some great success with it, but you do need to put the structure in. So I'd always kind of do the research, find out all the subheadings and things that I want in the article, and very similar to how you brief a writer, you need to get all your subheadings and all the key points that you want to include. And Jarvis or whatever tool you're using kind of helps you then just fill it out and put it together. The articles do need editing. They do need fact checking. They're not very good at kind of being used to research information. You need to kind of do your research and know what you want to write about, because often they'll put bits in that just aren't true. So you just have to check that. But yeah, I've had some great success with Jarvis. I on my YouTube channel, I have a live stream often on a Thursday afternoon UK time, and I've worked with those tools live on YouTube creating content. And yeah, sometimes it just spews out a whole load of gibberish, but you just do it again, and for a third or fourth time lucky, you get some really good stuff that you can work with. A lot of people seem to think that it is a replacement to writers, which it's certainly not. It's just another tool, a bit like Grammarly or Copyscape.
So would you say it does save you time? I mean, if you're doing it 2 to 4 times, is it going to be better to do that anyway versus trying to sit down and force yourself to be creative and write?
I think it's for me, it does save me time because I'm really bad at getting creative and writing paragraphs and coming up with good stuff. It gives me enough that I can kind of use it, either edit it. Sometimes it's fine just as it comes out, but it's easier for me to click a button 4 times than it is for me to kind of write 4 different paragraphs off the top of my own head.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, I've been really impressed. And for the very specific tools, like if I've got a bit of content, maybe I have written a paragraph and I just think, oh, it's not very good. I can put the whole paragraph, and it's got like a content improver tool as well, and it will rewrite the paragraphs. And I can, press the button 3 or 4 times, rewrite that paragraph very quickly, and then go, okay, that's the best one. That's the one I want.
Awesome. And so this one's Conversion AI, is that right?
Yeah, it's called Jarvis actually now. They've rebranded.
Okay.
My link is wpeagle.com/Jarvis. Check it out if you want to. That's an affiliate link. And yeah,
Definitely.
I think they're a really good company. They've got a really good interface. I've had one of their team on one of my streams chatting about the tool, and there's a whole load of different tools out there, and it's definitely a space that's changing all the time, but that's one of my favorites and one that I've been using. They have like this boss mode, which basically you can then just type commands in. So maybe you put a paragraph in and you can say, rewrite the paragraph above, and it will just do it. It's really, really clever stuff, but it has its limits.
Love it. Well, everything does, right?
Yeah. When it comes to technology,
that's great.
it does, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes. Also, for your live, where can people go to check you out on YouTube and also your website? Because this has been tremendously valuable. I'm sure people are going to be like, hey, I want to get on this live and check out some of your content. So yeah, where can we go to check this out?
On YouTube, it's WP Eagle. I say I'm live generally twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We just hang out and talk about sites, and I look at some people's sites. I share my sites. That's the thing with my channel. I'm very open with all of my sites. So one of my biggest case studies recently was where I created a roof box website, which, for the boxes that people put on top of their cars. That was a project from scratch. I created a whole video on how I created the site from scratch. And then every month I did an update video over the 2 odd years that I had the site. So building it up, adding the content, sharing all the earnings, all the traffic every single month. And then ultimately I sold that site just a couple of months ago, sold it for $70,000. So that's a great case study because it shows that you can do it from scratch. You've got to be patient and you've got to put a lot of work in. And I've got a few other case studies that are running at the moment for more recent sites. Again, they start off with a full tutorial on how I create the site, and then I follow up with update videos every month on the earnings, the traffic, and all the content and all the other work that I've done with the site, any link building or anything really. Share everything, which I know a lot of YouTubers, they don't do because they're scared of getting copied and all the rest of it, which does happen. Some of my sites, they do get copied, but it's just all part of the game, isn't it really, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, you're putting out great content. It's, you're coming from service first. I think that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Alex. It's been great to chat to you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
It has been fun. Everybody that is watching/listening, if you're watching/listening on YouTube, please smash the like button, because that is going to help this podcast episode get shown to more people who are looking at buying websites and growing content sites. So please smash the like button, especially if you liked it. Why wouldn't you? If you're not watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube, what are you even doing? I'm joking. By the way, come to my YouTube channel. If you aren't on my YouTube channel, check it out, because I have more great content on specific videos of just myself talking about buying sites and growing sites as well. So check that out. Thank you everybody for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Hey YouTube watcher, if you enjoyed this little short snippet of the podcast, check out another short podcast snippet here. Or if you want to watch the full podcast episode, check that out here. My opinion, the full podcast episode is very, very valuable.